What's up, guys? Alright, so today we'll be talking about a few things that I think most riders, if not all riders, should check before they ride out. Well, this may not apply to every time when you actually ride out because um, it's it's gonna be a little bit time consuming, and if you ride every day, what's the point of checking your bike every day if you actually ride every day? If you ride less than maybe once a week or every few weeks, then it would be good for you to do these checks every time that you actually ride out. So if you ride every day, it's not necessary to do these checks every day. But if you ride like once a week or so forth, then it would be good to do these checks every time before you ride. Alright, so it's always good to spend a few minutes, do a little walk around off the bike, just to visually inspect everything before you head out. Because sometimes you might do that little visual inspection and look, in this case I have a screw right here that is coming out right here. So this screw, I can visually see that screw is coming out. If I didn't do that walk around, I would not be able to see that the screw is coming out. So do a visual inspection, and then we're going to get into the basics of everything. Overseas, they have this inspection checklist. They call it the T-clocks, and I'm going to throw it up right on the screen right now what that means. But here, these are just some basic things that you just have to remember to check. Alright, so it's very important to know the condition of your bike before you actually head out. Know that the screws are fastened down, know that the chain is properly tightened, know that you have proper pressure in the tires and so forth. So the very first thing that we're going to check, this is in no particular order by the way, but the very first thing is to check your tire. So here in Jamaica, a lot of us don't have a tire pressure that you would connect to the valve right here, and then it would show you how much pressure is in the tire. So what we normally do here is we have our thumbs and we would press down on the tire like this. Now bike tires are very thick, and basically you have to give it a good amount of pressure to feel whether or not it's soft or not. If you press down and your finger goes too far down, then you know that your tire is running low on pressure, and you should definitely pump it and get some pressure in it. Another method that I mentioned, the best method, is to actually use a tire pressure, but most of us living here in Jamaica or even other countries, Caribbean countries or Africa or so forth, you might not be able to access the air pressure gauge. So a good thing is just to use your thumb and just push down like this. A lot of persons would kick the tire and so forth, but I personally use my thumb push down, and if my thumb goes too far, then I know that basically it's time to get some air in the bad boy. So it's very important to check your tire pressure because it throws your handling off if you have too much pressure in the tire, and also if you have too little pressure or too little air in the tire, actually is very bad. Too much pressure causes the tire to basically wear unevenly. So a lot of you guys, you'd wonder why the center of your tire keeps wearing quick, and that would be because there's too much air pressure in the tire. Alright, in addition to checking your tire and ensuring that you have the right pressure in the tire, also do a quick check to see if you have any nails in the tire. Check to see if there are any holes in the tire that you're not used to seeing. For the guys that may have the middle stand, put your bike up on the middle stand, spin the back wheel, and just do a quick check to see if there is any nail. Sometimes there's a nail in the wheel and you can still ride on it, but other times there are nails in the wheel, and nails or screws or whatever in the wheel that actually gives you a slow leak, so you want to check that before you go out on the road. For the front tire, you can spin the front tire without the bike even being on a center stand, just like this, and you can do a quick check to see if there are any nails, screws, or anything in the tire that would cause it to leak out on you. And another thing to do as you're checking the tire is also to check if your tire is basically wobbling or so forth. So what I do is to hold the fork, and I would basically shake the tire back and forth. If the tire have any little wobble in it, then that is a call for concern. It could mean that your axle needs to be tightened down, or it could mean that your bearings are going. A lot of times if you shake it and it gives you an uneven type of movement, then you know that it's your bearings or the wheel needs to be tightened. So definitely check that as well. Next thing that you should check is your chain. If you can see, this is the chain here. This bike is chain driven. You have bikes that are belt driven, you have bikes that are shaft driven. Now for those bikes, the procedure may be different, but in regards to chain driven bikes, which we predominantly have here in Jamaica and in other Caribbean countries and so forth, what you do is to check your chain slack, because you don't want to be riding out on the road and then your chain is so loose that it keeps jumping off the sprocket. So a loose chain is very bad. It can jump off the sprocket, it can snap, and it can really mess you up. Check your chain slack. Ensure that you can push up on the chain a little bit. Your chain should not be so tight that if you push up on the chain it doesn't move. Your chain should always have a little free play in it. This now, if you can see, this has, I would say, the right amount of free play. If your chain is too tight, it causes the chain to wear more, it causes the sprocket to wear more, and also the front sprocket, or the cog as we call it here in Jamaica. So always make sure that your chain is properly tightened, and I have a video that basically shows you how to tighten your chain. It works, it's the same procedure for most bikes. Additionally, as regards to the chain, I mentioned to check the chain slack. It's also good to do like a quick inspection of the chain to ensure that, you know, the chain has enough lube on it, you know, or oil, whatever it is that you use, and do a quick check to ensure that, you know, none of the links are pushing out, and you know, the chain doesn't look terrible. But another thing to also check, I mentioned it before, but it's screws. A lot of these bikes that we have, the Chinese bikes, they vibrate a lot, regardless of balance shaft or whatever. But every bike vibrates, and every screw decides to grow wings. So it's always good to do a walk around and just look at, as I mentioned, visual inspection of the screws. I found one down here which wasn't tightened, so do a visual inspection of the screws. A good pointer that I got was to mark your screw. So basically you'd get a marker and just mark a line, and if you look at the screws and you see that the marking is not lined up, then you know that the screw moved. Alright, so you can just get your screwdriver or whatever you use to tighten your screws and just give them a good tightening. Alright, another quick thing to check is your brake pads. So the brake pads are in your brake caliper, which is this. So it's good to check the wear of your brake pads to ensure that you don't have any metal on metal contact. So if your brake pads are so worn that they are down to the metal back plates, then that's bad. You won't get much braking from it, and it's not something that you want to happen to you out on the road. So always check your brake pad. Just do a quick visual inspection, ensure that there's enough meat on your brake pads, and you're good to go. Also, while you're checking the brake pads, also check your brake pressure. So it's always good to do a quick, you know, squeeze of the front brake, ensure that you're feeling pressure, and also do a quick press on the back brake, ensure that you're feeling pressure. You don't want to be surprised out on the road. You're riding and then boom, you need to use the brake, and when you go grab, or should I say when you apply the front brake, there's nothing, or when you squeeze the back brake, there's nothing. That's a very frightening experience, and you know, just don't make it happen to you. Do always check your eye level, check your lights to ensure that you have at least a headlight, you know, working on your bike, because a lot of times you may head out and you don't really expect to stay long on the road, and then boom, you know, night catches you on the road. So it's always good to have some form of light, you know, headlight. And then you can definitely, this is something that you need to check. Check to ensure that you have enough gas in the tank. So a lot of these bikes nowadays, they have a gauge up here that you can basically look at and see how much gas is in it, but nothing beats the good old push in a key, open the tank and give it a shake, look down in there and see how much gas you have in the tank. You will know whether or not that gas can carry you wherever you want to go. You don't want to be like a me who's always running out of gas. So always check your gas before you ride out. So basically those are some pre-ride things that you can check. I know that there's more, but this isn't an extensive video. This is something that you can do almost every day before you actually take that, journey out on the road. At the end of the month, you're expected to do like a routine maintenance, check oil, check everything more in depth, but for like persons who ride every day, they can do this maybe once a week or twice a week rather, at the start and the end of the week. Or for those who don't ride every day, for those who ride maybe once a week or so, they can do this every time before they take a journey out. Alright guys, so those are a few things that I think every biker should check before they actually ride out. Now if you guys think that there are some things that I missed, go ahead and drop them down there in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.